Okay, we're live now. Now we just co-host, invite.
Yo, yo, yo.
Oh, what's up?
Sorry, you stole my bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll mess with your shirt, man.
You like that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Sick, bro. I was actually supposed to be joining a different friend. How did you get up here? That's weird.
Yeah, now I was like co-hosting. Wait.
Okay, good. Sorry, we're just figuring shit out here. Who do I invite? Who do I invite? Here we go. All right, you're here. Thank God.
Yes,
Jesus Christ! Finally.
yes. No, I'm happy as well.
Thank you, Jesus. All right, we're finally here, man. All right, we got it. We're here. We're having our vampire weekend, our vampire hangout, man.
We could say so.
All right, this is my shitty setup so far. I don't know.
It's pretty. Has a very modern art, abstract vibe to it.
Yeah, sort of. These are really good chalkboard panels. They were only like $12 each at Home Depot, so I really lucked out on this. Really lucked out on this shit right here. You know, I kind of rushed the setup here. You know, I have like a crazy work schedule, right? Like I freaking cook for like 7 days a week, like no joke.
hmm
Yeah, I have like a six. Like tomorrow, I have 1 day off, but most days I'm working 6 or 7 days a week. Yeah,
Okay,
that
that's quite
sucks.
a lot. That's quite a lot of work. I can just imagine. And I mean, I'm honored right now to be a guest here with you, and that you are taking the time for us to
Oh
get to
no, this is
know.
awesome, bro. It's almost like a free session with you, to be honest. Like we talk all the time. So
Yeah, to get to know you and me better, and also perhaps what I can offer to individuals, but also you included, you know. I
yeah.
fear
So how long have I been getting vampire therapy from you now? Probably. How long have we been doing this?
it has been a while now. I fear almost
I
three
would say
months.
probably four or 5 months. No, 3 months.
Yeah, I think so, 3 to 4 months actually.
Yeah, it was 3 or 4 months, and I'd say for the most part I'm sovereign. Like I've become a very healthy vampire since taking like your technology really works. Like it's like well now keep in mind I'm a pretty good occultist, but we don't have these kind of traditions here in America. Like we don't. You know, our vampire traditions are essentially queer ontology. You know, I'm not even joking, dude. Michelle Ballinger is an
Yeah.
intersex person. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, she's the only like serious author that is, that is part of a vampire tradition. That anybody knows about really.
I
Yeah,
mean,
everybody in high school learns about the Psychic Vampire Codex. Okay?
yeah.
Yeah, it comes all the way back from 2007. So I was 16 when that was written or
Okay.
published. Yeah. And it's all about basically intersex people have like a really keen sense of energy, you know? So Michelle Ballinger, she goes through puberty and she's like, "Oh, I'm experiencing life as both a male and a woman. I need to document this," and So she spent most of her university years basically studying energy, and this is where the American vampire tradition sort of comes from. House Kipperu. Here on TikTok, they're called House Kipperu. It's the author Michelle Ballinger.
Hmm.
So yeah, the whole modern American vampire tradition is based off of queer ontology, basically. Yeah,
Well,
it, over there
I agree
in
to a certain degree. I do understand where you're coming from, but besides Bellinger, there is also Father Sebastian, isn't that? Um, but yeah, I mean, on they have great foundations to work with also in basically psychic vampirism and the culture and this and that. But on my perspective and on my awareness, vampirism goes beyond than just a simple amassment of culture and hierarchy and what have not. And vampirism is very primordial, it's very atavistic, it's very
yeah.
connected to the more older times of humanity or pre-humanity even. And I think
Get my drink real
it
quick.
it hasn't really, how to say that, it has not really in its essence an understanding or a framework of, I don't know, human morality or ethics. That's the thing. It transcends beyond that. And
Yeah.
I find it, I mean, I understand what those authors and those people try to do. They try to basically water down or like basically make those type of currents and practices more acceptable and more, to say that, yeah, being able to be integrated into society, which is okay. I know you can practice this form of vampirism, but I find it also very important that you actually, get those tools that you need, that you want, that you desire, but also build your own understanding of your own ethics and your own morals. What
Name 10
empowers
books.
what empowers you, you know?
Hang on, you gotta name 10 books. You
10
got it in
books.
the yeah. Someone in the chat said name 10 books. Do we have 10 books? Okay, I have books on my shelf. Hang on, we gotta let them participate a little bit.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay.
So
I mean,
you can see what I got going on here. Basically, I got the septenary as Kether.
yes.
So the septenary represents transformation in the conjunctions of the seven stars, 7 planets, 7 days of the week. So this is the gate to transformation, and we have, of course, the rest of the Sephiroth. So the reason I wanted to bring this out here tonight is so we can have a reference of what people can expect in the vampiric pathworking that we've created, basically.
Mhm.
This isn't 10 books. Okay, let's see. Faculty of Abract. Let's see. Oh, Prometheus Rising. Cosmic Trigger. What were we talking about earlier? Michelle Ballinger's Psychic Vampire Codex. She also has Psychic Energy Manual. Let's see what else is there. I don't know. There's lots of books, dude. I could probably grab 10 books right now.
I mean, I have the Vampire Bible there. So,
Yeah, the Vampire Bible. Okay, so what? Man, dude, I have so many freaking questions about like just your ability to bring people into the current as well as you can. Like, cause I like, man, like we have vampires, but like my first time talking to you, like after our first session, I could
yeah.
already feel the influence. I already felt like a vampire.
Mhm.
So like after our first session, I think that was just the preliminary screening, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. What I think is
Didn't
in
even
this
talk anything.
in this case, some people do have this inner potentiality of this so-called awakening. Some people have already those foundations within them. It's not really, how to say that I am bestowing upon you necessarily something in this case. What I am doing is helping you remember who you truly are. I'm helping you to remember that you have those bestial, that you have those more darker, refined aspects within, you know. And of course, somebody who awakens you to that or helps you remember to those aspects of one's own self, of course, will have like a substantial and foundational influence or a foundational energetic foundation within your own progress.
So you're able just to use your energetic influence to basically force the meiosis into your client. You know, because the vampirism or the technology is adapted through meiosis, basically. So by putting your head over here, it kind of trickles down, and the technology kind of just gets into you. It's very strange.
We could say that, for example, yes, in your case, you have already a great established foundation in Kabbalistic mental technologies. You are already very primed in receiving spiritual energy and knowledge and insights. The whole school of Perilus, it's based upon like the mental Kabbalah, it's on its alchemize, and isn't that like you already trained your own mind, your own subconscious to be able to receive
the technology, yeah.
Exactly, to receive such a thing. And so that's why, of course, if somebody does not have necessarily those foundations awakened or established within their own selves, it could take time. It could still be possible to make it happen, basically. I would suspect it would take a little bit more time.
I would say I'm more or less a vampire for the most part. Like I don't
Yeah.
really eat food that much anymore. Like I mostly feed off of ambient energy. It's sort of strange being an anti-social vampire,
Mhm.
because you feed off of interactions, but you don't like people. You're misanthropic. So it's very strange. You know, you feed off of negative interactions. Like what kind of vampire feeds specifically off of negative interactions?
No, a vampire in its essence is like, I like to say, it's like a sinister version of energy work, basically. As a vampire, you learn to master the craft of life and of death, basically. You do not limit yourself alone to quote unquote negative interactions or negative energies. You would basically learn to train and to master your own energy body, your own subconscious, your own ego and shadow body to be able to master your inner nature and thus also the outer nature, the outer energy, be it negative energy, be it positive energy. It doesn't really matter, but of course you have to start somewhere.
So how is the what we have M from the Discord here in our chat room right now? He's asking, how does the meiosis take place? The transferring, like how are we able to get the technology from one person to the other so successfully?
Well, in my case, and between you, but like in basically in our case, of course, you do have to have a person who have a lot of practice and has a lot of self-mastery or self-actualization in those places, the first place. You cannot pull that type of, like you like to say, technology or mitosis or this type of energy out of your own ass.
So you want to already be an adept with
yes, you do have to have some years, if not some, I like to say, and of course it's my own gnosis, like some reincarnations or some past lives to this life, where you already have some type of cultivated essence and cultivated embodiment in those regards. You cannot.
So let's just say you should already be well into your magical practice before you pursue working with Lux Anguis. You should already be an adept. Personally, that goes without saying. As far as my channel goes, I don't make content for amateurs. I don't make content for people that are just now getting into magic. I make content for adepts. I make content for you, basically. Lux Angus, Tristan, my friends. That's who I make my content for. People who are already adepts, who have already established a magical practice. So this is no different with you.
Yes, exactly. You do not want to have those mitosis happen to you on like a vampiric being or entity who just is basically starting out, It's very, it's very unstable doing that way. It's almost like a zombie infection. It's just spreading out and people go fucking crazy or unstable, like you do have to want to have somebody who can host and who can send into you like already established and refined current.
Yeah, otherwise you'd be sapped. Like you'd have no energy for like days and days after a session with you. I was back to normal after about 3 hours. I couldn't move from my car. I made the mistake of sitting in my front seat while we were on our call, and after that I couldn't move for about 3 hours. But that's okay. I had stuff to keep me entertained. So
Okay. No, the thing is, you are not the complete first person I've done this with, but I feel like you are the first person in this sense who went with me the depths how we went. You know what I mean?
that we went just full send. That we're like, okay, I'm ready to be a vampire. Honestly,
Yeah.
I didn't take it that seriously at first because you were like, hey, would you like to take initiation? I was like, hey, that sounds like so much fun. Like I'm the kind of guy that like I try different magical traditions like I try on clothes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
One day I'm doing this, like one day I'm doing satanic alchemy, the other day I'm doing, ancient 11th century astrology. I'm doing all kinds of crazy shit. So like by like an actual friend of mine saying, "Hey, do you want to become a vampire?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
Tristan's a black magician. He's actually going to take. Yes. Oh my God. Yes, I want to become a vampire. I'm friends with a black magician in Austria. Yes, I think I do want to become a vampire.
I do want to also put this in regards to this vampiric practice and pathway that we both have opened up within yourself and his community right now. It's not really a practice. It's that you can like put on like an underwear, like once, how to say that? It's like once you're a bit.
Speaking of underwear and becoming a vampire and different things, what is your color? As for like, do you practice colors in your vampire practice? Like, do you use a specific color to make you more powerful?
Well, I wasn't completely done with what I wanted. I will get to that for sure, but I wasn't really done on what I wanted to say. This practice of vampirism and this path is not a one-time thing. Once you are bitten, once you have integrated those current within your own self, it continues through the rest of this existence and probably beyond. It's like a continuous thing that you do. That's the thing. That's why you have to be. In your case, it would have been wise on your end that you would have meditated on that decision and that you have took some precautions because, once you have this vampiric blood within yourself running, this transformation within yourself running, the forces of the other side and of the subconscious, of the primordial will always be very deeply a part of you and will always have like a deep influence within you. Like it's an ongoing process. It's not like a one time and done thing,
Yeah, it's definitely an ongoing process. I'm trying to learn how to manage my energy because, like, we talk about retention. It's gross, but it's part of it. Unfortunately,
Sure.
We talk about retention, and like, I'm learning how to balance that because some days it's just too much. Like you're too aggressive, you're too machismo, your voice is too deep, So what's said to have a vampire soul? Yes. Anyway, but like some days you're like, screw it, I just want to be a skinny little weakling today, and you don't worry about retention, so like, but honestly, after about 15 hours, you're back to normal, and it takes like maybe 1 or 2 more days to get your aura back, so retention's not that big of a deal. You were definitely right about that, but like at first I couldn't have control over it, and you had to sit me down, and you weren't shy about it either. Okay, I gotta hand it to you. Yeah, shut up. Yeah. Retention. Yeah. But like you weren't shy about it. You're like, dude, you gotta, like, bro,
Yeah.
like, and
Yeah.
it's not until like an angry German guy is sitting down and telling you, "Do not touch your penis. Do not touch your penis."
No, it's no. Of course, it's funny, like you, like how you point it in that way, but in its essence, semen retention or sexual alchemy, it is very essential in its own occult and spiritual development. I'm not saying thou shalt never touch your fucking penis or genitalia.
No,
Like,
but I'm just saying, like, you weren't shy about it. You were like, no, this is important. You need to,
yeah,
get control of yourself for this,
you have,
and like,
you
you
have
weren't
to.
shy about that at all. Like 2 or 3 of our sessions was just about that. Honestly, you're like,
No, you have to
Alan, you're
master
not. I can tell you're not in retention. Get the fuck off. Stop wasting my time. You're wasting your money. You're wasting my time. Okay, fine. But and I remember in our last session, you were like, okay, it's really not that important, but like you have to establish it, but it's not that important. So like,
I mean, it is important. I'm not saying it's not important. It's important that you do master your sexual energy, because it's literally the primary current in of itself. And in the Kundalini force, it's literally in the root. It's literally in the root chakra of your spine. And if you're constantly just wasting it and squandering it, then now you cannot really, how to say that, in his old traditions, tap into its full potentiality. And it's not really that you should never touch it. For example, I like to incorporate like Taoistic or tantric sexual practices in my own practice, so that those energies are not stuck down there in my genitalia, so that they are moving to my whole energy body, to my whole aura, to my whole physical body of flesh. I'm using this energy to regenerate myself and to refine also my astral body. This is like, it's like an infinite generator between your legs, and if you can control that, it's controlling you. And I see so many occultists, I see so many people, also just very known people, to fuck up their careers and their life and not having their stuff under control, under self-mastery in those regards. Scandals, cheating, and I don't know, very sexual escapades, because they did not have mastered these very fundamental aspects of oneself.
I'm having to learn how to go from, I don't know, this is kind of getting into personal things, but like I was sort of a degenerate throughout my 20s. I pursued married women, and I had some success with them. And I ended up hating myself. So I sort of took that part of me and just isolated it, basically. So becoming a vampire, and working with you is teaching me how to take that isolated self, that person who couldn't share that part of themselves with anybody else. And I would, and you can now share it with other people. When you're not when you're not doing that to yourself, it becomes something that you can share with other people. But unfortunately, we have hookup culture nowadays, so that's not something you really want to be doing. But it is something you can alchemize and incorporate into your personality, and you can, I think a lot of men are having trouble doing that. That they can't take their personality and their sexuality and kind of merge them into one thing, because their sexuality is just shameful and their personality is lacking the machismo that would come with, an active sexual life. So I don't know. Becoming a vampire, like it makes that transition much more natural.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, and I love to hear that those new established pathways and the path of the vampire within has helped you master those, how to say that, aspects and urges and yeah.
Now, getting off that topic, because it is a little gross. So I remember. Do you remember? There was a few weeks we didn't talk, and this kind of pissed you off, and we had an exchange. But I told you I was like, I remember telling you they don't teach us how to thrive. Okay,
Yeah.
as Americans, like we don't we're not given the tools to thrive. We can't create thriving relationships or healthy relationships because nobody really teaches you how. You know, you have to figure that out for yourself. All anyone really teaches you, or all you really learn, is you learn to make money and you learn how to spend money.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's another thing that your service has helped me with immensely is I'm learning how to not just consume but thrive. Okay, because there's a level of sustenance that is outside of your mouth. Okay, I told you on the phone the other day, like we don't, as vampires, we don't eat with our mouths, we eat with our hearts. Okay, so I don't know. It's a tough transition. You have to know all the correspondences, and now I told you. Now I'm a very advanced occultist. I know that's just a meme for me, but
Mhm.
so I actually have an angel. Like I
Yes.
was able to summon and uh, someone on the Discord said, "I'm glad you brought up retention on the live." I'm not. That's very embarrassing. I'm not glad that we brought that up, but that's okay.
No, that's the thing. No, it's because it's shameful, it's very important because it's shameful. It's such a taboo topic that it's being talked about so that it's less shameful, that it's has gotten a spotlight that it deserves, Sexuality, everybody does it, nobody admits it. So, we should stop being ashamed about it. It's a completely natural thing.
I'm really
Every-
happy that I'm getting away from the girls online. Looking at girls online because that was something that really bothered me, and like I had to just examine what I was doing and say, okay, this is not something that serves me. I'm gonna be leaving this behind now. So, like that's really aided my transformation. And let me take a second because I think everyone remembers, we got pretty much a full house here. We got about 9 people. I think most people remember how fucking fat and grotesque I was in my early years. You remember seeing my old videos, right?
Yeah, I remember, but
Yeah, I was a fat fuck. Oh yeah.
I mean, I get it, but you should not. I don't know. It doesn't really matter how you look. It's very important you don't self-deprecate yourself like that. I feel like you should talk positively about your own self, even though.
That's a big part of this because
Yeah.
we're here promoting your service. You initiate people into vampirism. You teach them how to eat with their hearts instead of with their mouths.
Yeah.
Okay, I was someone who ate with their mouth too much, so this is something that you can help people with. See, someone says you look more fit. I am more fit. I'm very fit, crazy fit.
Yes.
And it's all thanks to my friend Tristan here. He's helped me out a lot over the past few months. Just through an hour on the phone, honestly. Just an hour on the phone, once a month. And the way my energy, the way I walk is different. The way my skin, look at my skin, bro. My skin looks great, man. I don't know. Your technology works. I don't know if everyone is in a position to use it as well as I have, or to utilize it to its fullest extent. But I don't know. I hope you get lots of clients. I hope these people are following you. We got about 10 people in here. Everyone, please follow Tristan. He's Like, if you admire me and the work that I do, I admire Tristan and the work that he does. Okay, like my hat really goes. Like, you guys are sleeping on Lux fucking Angus. Okay, like, dude, like people do not appreciate Lux Angus videos, man. Like, sometimes I just like watch your videos and like I just study the way that you speak, you know, and your cadence and like your energy, and it feels like I'm learning. You know, it feels like I'm studying. I don't know, just a personality that I'd never had access to as a child. You know, some kind of school. You know, I feel like if people looked at your videos and they saw past the, you know, the initial greasiness, you know, because people are so. I'm sorry, you're a little greasy, okay?
Oh,
Sorry,
bro.
you're a great guy. I love you, man, but you're a little greasy, okay? If people could just see past the initial greasiness, you know, yeah, Lux Angus, he's the shit. He's the shit. You know, and yeah, man, people don't appreciate you enough.
Am I really that greasy? Stop it. Like, now exaggerating
Yeah, but another thing, you gotta learn how to send it, bro. Like, you really gotta like up your production value. Like,
it. No, I know. What I know, and I want to come back to what I've promised to tell about and the color which I also work with, but and I also will give answers to why what I think we both also could do moving forward.
yeah, if y'all got questions for Tristan, please, like, this is a real vampire, okay? Ask him your questions. It's an actual fucking vampire sitting here, okay?
Yes.
2 actual fucking vampires. Well,
Yes.
him more so, but
No, you are becoming that, you know, like you are mastering that, you know, the moment you got those currents integrated in your own self, you know, like you are undergoing a process of becoming yourself an actual energetic vampire, you know, with time for sure. And in regards to which color I mainly use, it's not a color, it's like it's basically black. Why black? Black basically encompasses all colors, you know. It's like the absorption of all colors into one. It's like the embodiment of the void. It's the embodiment of the abyss, or even the planet of Saturn. I like to use black because it helps to integrate and absorb all types of energies within your own self. Though,
did I tell you about my color?
yeah, please.
Okay, so I'm a mauve vampire. Okay, so mauve vampires are very uncanny. The term mauve comes from the 1880s, I believe it was. So during the 1880s, they had limited amounts of dyes. Okay, now this was during like the Civil War. So the shades that the Civil War uniforms were in were both, you know, gray and blue. You know, you had the Confederacy, and you had the Union. Okay, so the Union was gray and the Confederacy was blue. Anyway, so these were both mauve colors because they had primitive dyes. Okay, so the thing about mauve colors is they look a little bit uncanny because they're all sort of a different shade of purple, and this purple can make all kinds of different colors. Okay, so all of the colors sort of had this uncanny look to them during the 1890s. And after this, of course, you had more chemical engineers that, you know, came into the market, and they had more dyes become available around the time that dynamite was invented for some reason. So yeah, Alfred Nobel and his team ended up creating dyes in addition to explosives. You know, because they were looking for dyes and they found explosives. So yeah, interesting bit of history there. But yeah, so mauve colors are very strange. Let me grab a few.
Okay.
I didn't prepare any, but so this is a brown mauve, and this is a black mauve, and you can see that they're both kind of different off shades of purple, sort of. Now, this isn't the correct color. Okay, if you look closely, it's violet. Okay, so it's uncanny. Okay, it's a little bit off. So if you're a vampire who's uncanny looking, like for instance, my head's just a little bit too big, you know, you want to lean into this. So you want to use lots of mauve colors. All right. So when I go out, I decorate myself with mauve colors. My hat's mauve. It's a mauvish brown. Can't find it right now, but yeah. So what this does is it makes me look a lot more attractive, basically, and people don't notice my uncanny features, like my tiny hands, my giant head, my small, delicate, doll-like features in my face. These things that would make, yeah, that makes sense. So the mauve vampire has to lean into their uncanny abilities because they have mostly moon moon placements in their astrology charts. Okay, so moon placements. If you know anything about astrology, you'll know that moon placements. Well, children with lots of moon placements aren't liked. They often destroy their families. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean that.
The
So
moon child is the divorce child, basically.
I understand this, I guess, on your own end, this perspective on this. I mean, it's very important though, like you said, in vampirism or like this basic glamorization of one's own self that you do in essence clothe yourself or decorate yourself. That is basically in some way in alignment to your own planetary and zodiacal makeup of a being, basically, in some sense. Like,
Yeah. Germans aren't really known for their fashion. No offense,
yeah.
but
And in my case, I have a lot of Plutonian type of underworld type of constellations in my own chart. First house constellation, my house, very scorpionic type of energy within my own self.
Hmm.
And so I like to clothe also for that reason black because it represents for me also the underworld, the mystery, the going in depths, going to the unknown. So like, yes, you can accentuate those already, how to say that, underlying current within yourself by clothing outside of your being in such a way that, yeah, it kind of emanates your inner nature into reality, and that can quite greatly help
This is
your.
something I really like about you, Tristan. So I'm a little bit anti-seductive in my ways. I'm very disenchanting. I can take something that's
Okay.
impossible, like magic, you know,
Mm.
and I can take something that seems impossible, like magic, and I can explain it to a massive audience to where they can understand it. Okay. Now, this is something I've been able to do on my page. Now, for you take something like black magic and you make it seem completely mundane and like an everyday thing. You know, like I say, oh, a demon helped me do this, and you're like, yes, yes, yes. The blah 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 of the demon may consistently reveal to you this certain blah 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 blah. And you just
Sure.
take all that bullshit apart, and you're like, this is what black magic is. Don't be stupid. And you throw it back in my face, and I'm like, holy fuck. Like, yes, of course that's what black magic is. You take something that is a forbidden art, and you make it seem completely mundane. Like I don't know how someone does that. Like I can do that with certain types of magic. I can do that with Kabbalah, but you take something that is forbidden and transforming, and you make it look like it's just the dumbest, most trivial thing ever. You know, and I don't know. Like maybe I'm stressing the point too much here, but like that's just something that I've noticed about you. That you have just this specific talent of taking something that seems so mysterious and anyway. Do you speak to the Orishas?
It's so interesting that she brings it up though. Like I have, as of recently, worked with a Babalao, and now it's like
Really?
if I'm not mistaken, it's like from Nigeria, the religion of Ifa. That
Oh.
yeah, that those entities. I don't know why, but like they came to me, and this guy of Nigeria literally did some like a initiation ritual upon me for that type of reason. And
Well, there you go then. I guess the answer is yes, you do. In
it's
fact,
very
work with a
interesting that out of nowhere, like somebody brings up Orishas. Of course, I don't think it's the same thing as with Ifa, if not mistaken. Or like if I'm mixing this up, I'm sorry, I apologize. But it's so interesting, like those type of this pantheon seems to reoccur in my life repeatedly. It's I'm not even searching. That's the thing. Okay, like if I'm speaking with the Orishas,
Mhm.
I do have certain interesting astral dreams and occurrences, insights with the Orishas, or like with those beings involved in this pantheon sometimes. It's very interesting. But unfortunately, I did not yet take the time to consciously put in more effort into this pantheon because I'm so heads deep into my own initiations into the clipode and into demon magic and vampirism basically. Like, that's like my main thing that I'm basically focusing upon.
Yeah, your demon
But
magic and your vampirism. I don't make pacts with demons. I try to. I don't know. When I was really young, I had a serious drug problem, and I was able to, um, see these things. Like I was able to conjure them and see them in my mind. And this came from staying up for long periods of time, basically. So this is something that's carried over into my magical practice. I'm able to conjure up this state of mind. You kind of have to tell yourself that that's what you were doing. You were just searching for something, and you found it. So that's how you can rationalize all those years of addiction. It's insane. But you know, uh, so when other people talk about summoning demons, like I'm like, well, where are you coming from? Because I know that you're not doing that. So, like, I know other people are summoning demons, but they're not doing it in the way that I learned how to do it. So, I don't know. What's your demon work look? Are you making pacts with them?
yeah, that too for sure. Yes, I also do agreements and pacts with demonic entities for sure. I do have had some already finished and some are still going. Of course, there is a risk involved doing that because if you are doing pacts with such an entity like that, basically you do give over some parts of your own, we could say, sovereignty unto them because you ask them to fundamentally transform and change you so that you kind of give over a certain degree of control unto them so that they can actually do this deep working through your being. You allow them access to your being on a deeper level. So they're doing a pact like that. Of course, there are different degrees of pacts. There are like very heavy pacts that can be a lifetime, that can be for years, that can be also for months too. Like you can also do pact path workings for certain months or half a year for certain attainments you want to have with those beings.
Uh,
Um,
I feel like we should probably cover, like, so if someone wants to work with you, like we got pretty much a full house here. We got 8, 10, 12 people. So if someone wanted to work with you, what kind of expectations would they expect in their path working? So I wanted to go over like a few things that were revealed to me, like through Kabbalah. So okay, so basically the first sphere that we worked through is Nehema. So that is the sphere of Malkuth. Okay,
yes, that's
but
the
it's
earth
the
sphere.
shadow of Malkuth. So
Mhm.
the darker aspect of it. Now, Nehema was Noah's wife, Noah from the Bible. Okay,
Mhm.
so her brother was Tubal Cain. Okay, and before she went onto the ark, the last thing she did was have relations with her brother and give birth after the flood. Okay, Now, her brother was of Nephilim lineage. Okay, so where that technology should have died with the lineage of Tubal-Cain, because Nehema was sanctified. She was blessed. Her lineage was blessed with her marriage to Noah. Okay, so she was allowed to be on the ark. All right. Now, this is very complicated. Vampire Kabbalah is very, very complicated. Okay, so the way that this can come into you and be sacred is the same way that it went into Nehema, basically through relations with her brother and through her being on the ark when the world was destroyed. Okay, so that technology carried through her, and she had passage through to the next world, okay, through to the hereafter, okay, and that's how that technology, which was supposed to die in the flood, came over into the hereafter. Okay, so from working with you, the Tree of Life revealed this information to me and told me how I would take the technology that I was bringing from you and bring it to myself and make it sacred. So that's our first sphere. That was Nehema. Okay, now keep in mind Nehema is also the name of Solomon's wife. Okay, now Solomon's wife was she wasn't just his wife or his concubine. She was also the mother of Rehoboam. Okay, now why would Solomon marry a woman named after a descendant of Cain? Okay, because he fell out of the tradition. So it's the name Nehema which both carried over the technology into the next world, the Nephilim technology that was supposed to be destroyed, and it was also the name Nehema that took the wisest man out of God's favor. Okay, so she both had passage and corruption. Okay, so the name is two different people and two different mechanisms. Okay, so her passage is what brings that technology into the sacred world, and her influence is what takes a wise man out of God's favor. So it has two different chiasms, two different functions in higher Kabbalah. Do you understand that? So that's the first sphere, Nehema. So we have that in there. Now the next one is, of course, Lilith. Okay. Now this is a really hard one. Okay, because it's just the illusions of the world that they slowly break, and you're just left alone with your ego and what things are. Okay, it's sad, but when you become, when you work with these currents and your energy changes, a lot of different things change, but you're still left in reality. Okay, so as your energy changes, the illusions die with it. Okay, so you may become more attractive, more romantic, but along with it goes the illusions of what you believe romance and things to be. Experimental essence creator. Okay, essence collector. Nice. So as you progress through the beauty that is the sphere of Lilith, and you learn how to carry yourself through the tribal dynamics of moving upward, as you move upward, your illusions die with it, if that makes sense. So you achieve, but as you achieve, the illusions of the achievements fall by the wayside. Okay, so this is about upward momentum and, of course, shedding of illusions, basically. The breaking of perspective. Okay, so that's our sphere of Lilith, right? Okay. There was a lot more there, but it's escaping me for some reason. Any comments so far, Tristan?
I mean, yes, your
Okay.
perspective and your biblical connotations in history in connection to the spheres can also be viewed and connected to that. In my tradition, though, it's like the Earth sphere and the Black Moon sphere, primarily what they are doing with you, like in how I experience it in the Earth, the body, your whole nervous system, your whole physical flesh is being basically transformed and mutated to be able to absorb the rest of this whole clipothic or sephirotic structure of yourself. Like basically you are preparing your earth vessel, your body to be able to absorb and to maintain and to receive those higher influences of these planets or of these different astral realms into your physical being. On the Black Moon, what's happening there is basically your own subconsciousness, your own shadow, your own basically vampiric potentiality of absorption, of understanding, of reading those type of primordial energies is being activated, is being more calibrated, so that you can actually on the astral plane and on the subconscious plane visit and walk through these next stages that you will move forward to, you know? So like those two spheres are very feminine, and it's very connected to those feminine principles, because you have to be able first to receive, to absorb, to understand, to read those subtle currents. So that's why you are first very deeply entrenched in more the dark feminine type of alchemize within your being, you know?
So the distinction should be made that Nehema is about, you know, the mouth and the the act of consuming, you know, and Lilith is more about upright consciousness and the spine, essentially. Now, when we get into further vampiric path working, next comes, of course, the building of the vampiric body. This took me a while to do, actually. This took me a good couple weeks before I was able to build up a nice vampiric body. Now, biblically, I had to learn how to. Okay, so in the Torah, King Saul is commanded to destroy his enemy. Okay, wipe out everybody, spare nobody. Okay, not even the finest of the nothing. Okay, now he was deliberately given these orders, knowing that he would disobey them. Okay, so people make that assumption all the time. Now, what I'm trying to do is take all this draconian, you know, influence and stuff and make it into a sacred art. You know, something that we can truly. Anyway, so our justification for carrying this energy inside of us, the Nephilim technology, the soul that eats other souls, you know? So, okay, Tristan, this is how I've come to explain Nephilim technology, okay? It's the obvious best choice, all right? Now, do you remember being a kid and you have to stand in line, you know, you have to line up for a basketball game or like a soccer game, and everybody gets to pick who they want. Okay? You remember this?
Yeah.
All right. And so, of course, the first choice is the best choice, and the next best choice is the next choice, and, you know, okay? Now, the person who is last, well, you know, that's the person who's last, okay? So they're the victim of this Nephilim technology. Basically, Nephilim technology, in my opinion, is the obvious best choice, okay? Being presented to somebody who really shouldn't have that many options in the first place, okay? So let's say modern dating, for instance, okay? Like, because that's really who we're mad at, right? You know, so what modern dating has essentially done is take the best, you know, most richest, most, you know, highest quality men and give them to the worst quality of women. Okay, Like it takes a few hours, but if you're a woman who's of low quality standards, who's of low quality, you can get on whatever app you want, and you can find a man who is well out of your reach. Okay, now this is the benefits of Nephilim technology. Okay, so what we're doing with our Nephilim technology is instead of being the tallest guy or the most beautiful woman or the dating app, okay, we are the soul that consumes other souls. Okay, that is our power. Okay, that is what we can do. Okay, that is our edge. That is what we offer. Like that is your product. Okay, you are a soul that can consume and eat other souls. Okay,
Yeah.
that is unbeatable.
For example, yes, if you are really very, very deeply adept in vampiric, alchemy, and embodiment and non-embodiment, and its practices, yes, you can actually devour and absorb somebody else's very deep aspects. For example, the soul, and in those soul aspects could, for example, be connected to chakras or the deep unconscious, the shadow, etc. Like, yes, the vampire technology can go as far and to allow you to feast upon another individual so deep like that. Yes, but you do have to have first, like I said, to be able to have a very stable vessel, a very stable energetic metabolism, to be able to transform this high amount of energy into your own evolution or into your own goals, into your own embodiments and self-deification, basically. Some people like to say vampirism is like a lack of something. No, I like to say vampirism is actually an enhancement of something. You can actually use vampirism to further and accelerate your own process, your own evolution, your own life force, your own energy body. Like it's a more so for me enhancement than anything else. It's not really a sickness, though. There is the risk, though, if you are doing that too much, or if you are accustom yourself too much with that type of high voltage of energy, is that your own nervous system gets accustomed to that type of amount of highs, so to say. But once it stops, basically, you do feel, if you're not, like on this.
Well,
on this
let's stave off the warnings for now. Let's try to get your clientele base up. And you can give them the warnings as they go. I don't particularly care for the warnings, to be honest. Just let's just say proceed at your own risk.
Yes, proceed at your own risk, basically. I don't want to invite people into something, and then when they have done that without proper foundation, and they feel like I've scammed them, or like that I have
No. You are very skilled at articulating this to people. You are very skilled at articulating this to me, and even though I am an advanced occultist, I came to you as a student. Okay, I came to you as a student, and you are very much you are quite the talented teacher. Okay, you are more than capable of bringing these people into the current, into your technology, and really just transforming their lives for the better. Okay, and that's really what we want. We want men that are sexy again. We want people to go out there, get laid. Like freaking, be good people. But one thing I don't like is one thing I'm finding is feeding off of other people's energy isn't particularly good for a relationship. Like it can sort of wear on somebody, so you have to be conscious of that. Like people don't like being made into a meal.
I understand that, and as a vampire, not really just to say that limited to feeding on people. You can literally use those enhanced abilities of absorption and of integration to literally absorb the energies of the sun, to absorb energies of spirits, absorb energies of the earth, of the moon, of archetypes, of egregores, of negative energies around you. Like you can use this type of powers with so many other things, not just only people.
You should be able to do it as well, too. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. I typically Yeah, social interactions and ambient energy are a good way of feeding off. I work in a public place. I'm a cook in an open kitchen, so people come in and they come in. And I'm one of the first things they see. So that's like a really good advantage for my practice as a vampire because I'm able to feed off of ambient energy. I'm able to create those connections and bring them back up later if I need to feed off of them.
Mhm.
And so I don't have to constantly be feeding off of or interacting with my coworkers. I have a lot of ambient energy I can feed off of. And
Yeah.
one thing that's scaring people is I'm losing weight really fast. Yeah,
Mhm.
people are like, "What are you doing?" The blah blah blah. I just say that I say I have an eating disorder. Like whatever. But people, I don't know. Like I have plenty of energy. I'm very high energy.
Yes.
So like it's not really a problem. I'm just eating something else, basically. You
For
know.
example, yeah. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Another thing is, okay, if you're disenchanted with love, like man, like after like our third or probably fourth, no, after our third session, like I had just all this love built up in my heart that just wanted to come out, and like it was like every woman I stood more than 3 feet across from, like my heart just went on fire for like a week, man. Like when I was developing, like because we're talking about the vampiric body right now. When I was developing this, oh, inactivity. Oh, hang on. Okay, you're there.
I'm there.
Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So whenever I was developing the vampiric body, like I was able to fall in love again. My heart started waking up. I was very dead romantically. But I became extremely sensitive to this, and I think a lot of people talk about the sacred fire. Like vampires are able to share sacred fire with each other. And I don't know. I think if you're someone who can't experience love anymore, you would do really good to work with Tristan. Like I was able to fall in love with someone, a beautiful girl. We text, we talk. She has a boyfriend, but I've always been a Sancho, so that's not really a big deal to me. I can be another guy. It's okay.
Okay.
But
The the thing is with vampirism though, it's like it's the act of destruction, but at the same time, when you destroy something, there's a potentiality of creation. That's the thing,
yeah,
Previously, when you first started with me, there was so much stuck up energy within yourself. There was so much build up of emotions, of things
yeah,
that I feel like your mind was just very deeply ruminating about and attached to. And when you are opening up the doors to vampirism, it's like those things are getting devoured, those things are getting removed, and then a new space came in there for new creation. So basically, you remove the old through vampirism. The thing is, you don't only feed upon other people. That's the thing. You can also feed upon your own traumas. You can feed upon your own negative experiences. You can feed upon your own negativity, actually, You can literally refine your own subconscious, your own emotional body, your own energy body, basically feeding on those aspects that keeping you stuck, that are dragging you down. That's all like an energetic build up. You can basically absorb those things. And when you activate those vampiric nature within your own self,
yeah,
those things get automatically like absorbed from this energetic body of yours, of your vampiric body of yours, and it's being transformed into a new expression. And so I feel that is like um, what is happening, like you are in a constant flow of change. You cannot stay anymore the same, and the things that you truly desire of your subconscious will be basically brought up again, because the path to vampire is also the path of knowing and acting upon the deepest desires as well. It's like you use the energy of yourself, of your surroundings, to also actualize what you desire. The blood, red,
Yeah,
desire,
I was learning
action,
how to want
passion.
again. It's difficult to know how to want something nowadays
Yes.
because you have access to everything all at once. So you don't really have long term goals anymore, you know. So like I don't know. That's another thing that working with you has taught me that I have the ability to desire things. You know, if I want to go out and meet a beautiful girl, I can do that. You know, I don't really have much for her, but I can still meet her. You know, that's okay. So I had a really weird um conversation with this sphere. Okay, so there was a 911 tape that I heard from back in 2015. Okay, so it was a 17-year-old girl whose boyfriend had broken into her home and unalived her mother and her boyfriend, and then himself in the head. Okay,
Yeah.
and this was this girl's 911 call. Okay, so she was very nonchalant about the whole thing, considering that her ex and her current boyfriend were then, sitting deceased inside of her home. One of them with axe wounds to the face, and anyway, and the other one with a bullet wound. Anyway, so this girl was very nonchalant, and she tells the 911 operator at some point. She says, "Just get these bodies out of my house," because she's the 911 operator is asking her, "Do you need medical assistance?" She's like, "No, not really." She had like a wound to her leg, but other than that, she was fine. Anyway, but what she didn't realize was that her ex-boyfriend had also taken out her mom that morning, basically, while she was in her bed. So when she said, "Just get these bodies out of my house," she was also talking about her mom. She didn't know that at the time. She thought she was just talking about... You should look up this phone call. It's very strange. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a teenage girl, and she's on the phone with the 911 operator after her ex-boyfriend broke into her house and, unalived her then boyfriend with an axe and then shot himself. But he also took out her... my student from Indonesia's here. Say hi.
Hello.
Hey Daniel. Yeah, this is my student from Indonesia. He's pretty awesome, man. Dude, I was teaching him Kabbalah for like a year. Master, thank you, bro. Dude, I was teaching this guy Kabbalah for like a long time. And one day he just casually mentions, he's like, "Oh, I cut hair. Yeah, I make about $20 a week cutting hair." I was like, no, you don't. So I started sending him money, and now he gets to like travel, and he gets to like have a good life and stuff. I send him money and stuff, so he doesn't have to cut hair for $20 a week. Someone shouldn't have to work all week and make $20. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree with you.
if you're an Indonesian, fucking ask me for money, please. I'll hook you up, okay? Please. I'll gladly send you $20 a week. I don't give a shit, Like if you're an Indonesian and you have an American friend, you shouldn't have to work. Okay? If you have a friend that has access to anyway, whatever. There's one thing I do for my students. Frig.
That's not nice of you.
Where were we? Okay, so this path working. She's saying, "Just get these bodies out of my house." Well, what about your mom? Yeah, that one too. So like, just I don't know, man. There was something in just the nonchalance of that girl's voice talking about her then boyfriend and her ex-boyfriend, and not knowing that her mom was also dead. So there's two ways that could go. Okay, so we're talking about vampiric path working, and this is about semantics. Okay, this sphere is the sphere. I don't know. It's about dark semantics. Okay, so we're talking about lovers. We're talking about romance. So a body is a body is a body. Okay. So to a girl, a dead body is also a body that she feels in bed. Okay. You know, but it's also her mother's body. So so like so a body is a dead body, a body is a partner, and a body is a family member. Okay? So those are three different semantics. Okay? So when she's saying, just get these bodies out of my house, okay, she's talking about a lover, she's talking about an ex, and she's talking about a family member. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay? Now, one of those she didn't know about. So let's imagine the coroner gets there. She doesn't get anything. You know, she doesn't get any medical attention. Okay, she says, "Just get the bodies out of my house." And then the coroner goes in. Oh, what about your mom? She's like, "Yeah, that one too. Who cares?" Like so. Or did she go, "Oh my God, my mom, no!" I don't know. I would love to be there. I would love to have been there the moment they told her, "What about your mom? That one too?" Like, just get these bodies out of your house. So a body is a lover, is an ex, is a family member. So I don't know. The semantics of that dark sphere. They just woke up when I heard that 911 call. They're like, okay, so the girl says, "Get the bodies out of my house," but she's talking about her current lover, her ex lover, and she's talking about her mother that she doesn't actually know about.
Mhm.
Like, do you see the magic waking up there?
Mhm. Yes, because in a sphere, in a more perfect tradition, is called Arab Sarak, the ravens of dispersion, and it's traditionally ruled and or with Baal and Cain. So this sphere is usually also in connection to basically, how to say that, almost like true love or like the primordial love. What's basically happening in the sphere is things that are built upon, to say that. Like it was my experience, you must understand the clipopic initiation or like those type of alchemies are also sometimes, if not all the times, like very individual too. So in my case, when I was going down on this sphere, I basically my back then relationship with my now ex was then at this point completely breaking down because those relationship was not supporting this love that I have with this person, was not really supporting my own development, my own evolution. So this type of love and this type of connection had to be sacrificed, had to be removed out of my life so I could actually further evolve myself. And that's something that's happening in the last sphere, because after this sphere, you move up to the Girion or to the Black Sun. But that's the thing with relationships and with connections. When you are pursuing this vampiric clip of initiation, transformation of your own self,
Oh yeah.
is things, relationships of your own family, of your own loved ones, of your own friends, they can become sacrificed. They can become cut off of your life because their love is basically
Oh my
fake to your
God,
development.
yes, dude. Yes, I
They're,
love so much. Yes.
it's fake to
Yeah.
your development. This love, it's detrimental to your development. So it has to be sacrificed and cut off. And then you can move forward. That's the potential sacrifice you have to do in this sphere, is to sacrifice fake love, is to sacrifice false love and connections in order to move forward. Because again, you don't believe how much relationships and connection can actually either help you progress on your path or tie you down and actually block you on this path. So that's basically the teaching and the alchemies that I have received from this sphere, is like, sometimes your love and your heart is in wrong places, is in wrong relationships, is in wrong connections, even with your own self too.
Did we
There,
cover the vampiric body? Okay, so
yes.
let me go over this one real quick. Um okay, so Agag All right, let me go ahead and introduce the book. Okay, so this is our vampire book, or this is my vampire book. So for this path working, for this sphere, I want to draw your attention to the words Liber Rebil. Okay, so for this path working, Liber is the Rebil is Agag. Okay, which from the Torah was the prisoner of Saul. Okay, and he was able to reproduce and create Haman, and Haman almost destroyed all Jews, and from there the Jews had to rebuild their population. Okay, so Rebil represents Agag, Haman, and the rebuilding of the population. Now Liber is the prophet Samuel when he liberated Agag's limbs from his body. Okay, so Liber is the prophet Samuel cutting up Agag, and Rebil is Agag. Okay, so when we're looking into this sphere, we are essentially looking at how the Torah treats its enemy, because the Torah tells us to love our enemies. Okay, but Yahweh Hashem commanded Saul to destroy the Amalekites. Okay, so while Hashem commands one thing, okay, something else played out. All right, because Saul ultimately disobeyed Hashem. Okay, so yes, Hashem had to be the bad guy and say, kill all the children, unalive all the children, spare nobody, blah, blah, blah. Okay, he had to say that so that Saul would preserve the enemy. Okay, and that's what we're doing in this sphere. Okay, the same way the Torah preserves the enemy. Okay, because it preserved Agag, and from preserving Agag that night, who's the children really? I'm sorry, Zahar, I don't understand. In the Midat. I don't understand Zahara's question. But anyway, so the same way the Torah preserves the enemy, okay, with Agag, because Agag became Haman, through that one night. I guess some slave girl must have leaned up against his cage, and then he was able to reproduce, and that became Haman. And from there, the Jews had to rebuild their population. So the same way the Torah preserves its enemy, we preserve the Nephilim technology within ourselves, within our body, the ability to have a soul that eats other souls, to destroy and consume the souls of other men and women. Okay? So this shouldn't be. Okay, this technology shouldn't exist, but the same way the Torah commands us to love our enemies, and the Torah preserves Agag and preserves the enemy, so too do we preserve the technology within ourselves to destroy other souls. Yeah. Midat is the divine attribute or character trait through which Hassan interacts with reality. We're Kabbalists, bro. I'm a Kabbalist. Oh, Hashem. Midat is the divine attribute. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're talking about that. So yeah, the divine spark. That's how. Well, basically, you just gotta be good to each other. Yeah, the way Hashem interacts with reality is, you see somebody and you serve them. You don't deceive them. You don't disregard them. You serve them, okay? Because God was the first servant, okay? So we act the same way Hashem would act. We act as servants, as stewards of our brother's destiny, okay? So we're not adversarial. We do not trip up our brother's pathway. We guide it. Okay, that's how Hashem interacts with reality. That's how we bring back divine spark by being decent to each other for a start, basically.
Mhm.
Some comments and dang, you did lose weight. I need to. Yes, I did. Well, if you want to lose weight, talk to my friend Tristan here. Go follow him. He'll give you a free session. Your first hour's free with him, and after that, I don't know what you wanted to be charging. I jewed you down to 28 bucks an hour. I think you wanted more than that, but I think that's a pretty good rate. I don't know. Uh,
Like,
if you get a good client list, I think you should be charging probably about 30 bucks an hour. But yeah, like learn how to consume energy. Work with Tristan.
the thing is, I did elevate it to $1 more to 29 because it's symbolic for me because 2 and 9 equals 11, and there's the 11 clipothic spheres and the 11 stages. So that's why I was charging 29 an hour, so that basically you are kind of symbolically taking those energy within
Yeah,
yourself.
29 bucks an hour, once a month or once every 8 weeks is nothing. Okay, like freaking yeah, working with you but now don't waste his time. Get the most you can out of the session. But his vampire therapy has really changed my life. Just opened my eyes, and I don't know, like people regard me as a master, but like I see you as the master. Like so, I don't know. Like I don't want to be up here kissing your ass. Like
No,
you've been doing this for a while. Like you've been doing this for a while in the
Yes.
scene.
Yes,
Yeah.
a very, very long time now, and I feel honored. I feel very honored that you see me that way. Of course, I stay. No, of course, thank you for this compliment. I still stay on my feet. I will not let this also go over my head. Because there are also some aspects that I still need to master and this and that. I get it, and there are some aspects of your own practice that you are pretty more advanced than me, and vice versa. So
Yeah,
I
suffice it to say, you found the right student. But your magic works. I think that's what's important. That you do have access to the current. That you can completely transform people's lives just through the power of words, through the power of your presence alone. Okay, just through the meiosis of your mind. Okay, you can transform people's lives through your vampiric tradition. Okay, like
yes,
I used to be this bloated mess of a person. Okay, and I told you, like, you asked me one day, I think I gave you a shout out in a video, and you were like, dude, is there anything I could do for you? And I was like, well, you're a tantric master. I have a lot of trauma down here, basically. I have trauma somewhere that I can't get rid of it, because I'm a master of shadow work. I tell people words to destroy trauma, to make them feel better. I know how to prompt someone to extract trauma from their nervous system. But for me, it was too low. Like it's something that you just can't fix. There's no thought, there's no experiment, there's nothing. Okay, and you were like, bro, here's my phone number. Fuck that, and like, dude, just talking to you once, man. Like all of like, man, I don't know. People talk about like the crotch ghost, like that little gray ball, like in your bathing suit area. Just that trauma that's built up from childhood and from just years of self abuse, from just that terrible lifestyle. Everything it all just culminates right here, and it doesn't go away. Okay, but like after I talked to you the first time, bro, like everything was just like, and I looked up the mechanics of it. You do an Indian tradition of healing to where you can take the negative energy and basically turn it into free energy, and yeah, it's just a simple way that this has been done for years and years, and you've mastered it somehow. You can
Like I
consume
never
negative energy and turn it into free.
I told you, the vampire is the master of life and death. So basically, above positive and negative energies. Yes, you master those currents. You're not limiting yourself to just negative energy. You can tap into negative energy and transform it into neutralized energy and like manipulate it in whatever way you desire and want it to be and to have. And that does require from you to look into your own deepest depths of darkness, but also your own personal light as well. To be able to transform those aspects into healing and into self-integration. And I myself put in a lot of work in self-mastery, especially about my sexual nature and energy and tantra and how to alchemize it. It's like a natural part of my own energetic mastery or
Well,
makeup is to help you get
one
those
thing. I'm
deep-seated
sorry. I know we're coming.
energies.
I know you
Yeah.
gave me a time limit, and I know we're coming up on your time limit. So I wanted to ask you one last thing.
Yes.
I feel like, okay, opening up our, like sexual mastery and stuff. I kept running into the problem of low hanging fruit women. Okay,
Mhm.
like the kind of women that are just the low hanging fruit of the dating world. The kind of women that just have huge rosters of men. And I'm like those women became a lot easier. They didn't used to pay much attention to me, but now they can't get enough of me. And I'm kind of having to relearn how to be selective, like
Yes.
with the women who I give my attention to. So I think for the people that start to work with you, one thing they're going to have to learn how to do is be more selective to who they give their attention to and not engage too much with the low hanging fruit, because I don't know, that kind of person interacting with a vampire is just a recipe for disaster. You could have townspeople with pitchforks going after you and all kinds of shit. You could develop a reputation as a womanizer. You don't want to do that in a small town. You don't want to do that in any town. So, yeah, I think that's a big warning that people need to look at. Like, I'm having to because I used to just be able to, I used to just take whatever you get, right? Like, as far as dating goes, you just take whatever you get, but now it's like, you hunt the big game, okay? You look for the woman that you wouldn't be able to get, like you pursue, I
High
don't know,
quality
worthwhile
woman.
questions,
Yes. Higher quality of woman. It's very important, that you
Married
don't.
women. You look for married women. Okay, you seduce and look for married women. Okay, that's what I'm talking about here. You ignore single women altogether and you start seducing married
Bro.
women. Okay, because
I
they
get,
have money.
yes, I get that, and that for sure could be an aspect, but it's very important that you have space for women who have also a established craft within themselves. So like have also a certain degree of mastery. You wouldn't want to squander and to invest your essence into women who basically, I don't know, have no real foundations within themselves, in their own practice, in their lives. Like it's very important that you build with your energy with women who can work with your energy, and now you can actually create with them something substantial. That's very important. I don't have to be all the time, of course, in a monogamous relationship. Of course, ideally it would be like that. But in today's time, and like I said, there's so many people just having this sweet as relationship dynamics. But still, at the end of the day, you should have a eye open, if not all eyes open, for the special kind of women who also have a established energetic craft within themselves and have established a foundation, a certain degree of self-mastery. Those are the women you want to have as friends, as lovers, as somebody you want to build with and share energy with. Because, a woman is like a generator. All that you give as a man to a woman, she's like the soil. She takes it in and she makes it more. She amplifies it. She expands that. So you want to really have like a feminine, um, like grounded and practicing women in your life, be it as friends, be it as lovers, you know.
Well, I know that it's morning for you right now, so we're gonna go ahead and let you get your day started. Thank you for joining me on my first ever stream, Tristan. This has been a blast, man.
You're welcome, and I feel honored to be the first one of you to have started this live stream with, for real.
All right, well, we gotta do this again, bro. All right, have a good day, Tristan.
You too, man. Goodbye. Mm. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.